The Eagles are reportedly a real threat to go after Myles Garrett. They expect Josh Sweat to move on.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat is not the only one that's be moving on. I think it's Michael Williams, the other D
Really.
tackle. He gonna be gone too.
An offer that they can't refuse, and I think that's what the Eagles will have to do in order to get Myles Garrett over there. You might
Mm.
you miss a few pieces, but you add someone like Myles Garrett to that defense, man, and
You know the Commanders are gonna be
You already got Jalen Carter.
29-year-old defensive player of the year. 29-year-old guys
Yeah.
that have 4 consecutive 14 sack seasons.
Mm.
Those guys don't grow on trees. Do you think
They
there's a guy
don't.
in the draft that can give you that kind of production over the next 5 years? Philly said we good
Mm.
offensively. We can get better defensively.
See, and that's where I have to come in and disagree. Like, um, there are obvious, strong ties to this rumor, and that how he loves to play around with different things, and he loves to take big swings in free agency, in the draft, trades, combine it all. He's always been one to make moves, never sitting still on his fingertips, his hands. So, while I do believe this would upgrade our roster and give us some serious use, pass rush prowess, flexibility on that defensive line, I don't think it's a move that we should make. And hear me out. Like I said, Myles Garrett is a bona fide star, man. The guy's racked up all pros, double-digit sack seasons like they're candy. As a physical build, he dominates. He's a guy that we've struggled with in training camp over the past 2 seasons when we practiced against him. That being said, it's just such a costly move for us, man. And with us bringing in guys like Jalix Hunt, who wasn't supposed to be an impact player this year, and yet we saw him in the playoffs. He was able to, play off the strengths of his teammates and get sacks and advance and grow, adapt on this defense. And he was obviously a player that Vic Fangio scouted and wanted on his defense, handpicked by him. I thought it was a reach at round 3. Obviously, they made a fool out of me, and that's not easy to do because that is easy to do because I'm amateur. I'm just a fan who loves to evaluate his team and knows more than the average fan, but still lacking in that a superior amount of knowledge. But man, I'm interested, because what would the asking price be? We know that Shannon, he goes on to say it's gonna be like 2 ones and a third or fourth rounder, a mid round pick, or now it seems a day 2 pick of that third rounder. That being said, it's just too costly on that front. We can use those picks to bring in guys in a bulk. We turned one quarterback, one trade, Carson Wentz, into several players. That was Milton Williams. That was Cooper DeJean. That was Jalen Carter. That was Smitty. And those are all cornerstones for guys who are, huge building blocks on our offense and defenses, respectively, and A.J. Brown. So I'm more for the bang, get more bang for your buck. Get as much as you can. And, pushing out the chips. We're not a one player away. I could see if we were, but our defensive line was nasty when I was without him, without a quote unquote premier pass rusher, like Josh Sweat has, I would say B, to solid B to B plus talent as a pass rusher. And we made do with him. Bryce Huff, we didn't strike out. I believe he can improve this year. But I have a short that's coming up that might, speak to that. He might be in just the best position where we need him, even though he is an expensive piece. But we just need to add another solid player. And I'm not so sure that we shouldn't go hunting in the draft for that player rather than, mortgage the future, so to speak. Because don't get it twisted. That's kind of what we will end up doing if we trade for Myles Garrett, sacrificing draft capital. And don't forget that he wants he's going to need a contract extension. And what is that going to cost us at the end of the day? Some people float out the idea of him being the highest paid player. Like, that's not going to happen, buddy. But highly compensated, yeah. But don't forget, lest we forget, we have guys like, probably going to prioritize like Zach Bond and maybe, another guy on that defense. Brandon Graham might be coming back. We're always kind of probably be, not always, but at least for the next year, be willing to bring him back to the fold. What he brings, not just in wisdom and still skill level. He's still playing at a high level despite his advanced age. It'll be his 16th season, all with the Philadelphia Eagles. But his maturity, leadership, him. Don't forget, the boost he gave the defense, and just in moral support, and just having him back. The morale boost that was. But like I said, I could see if it was in the previous year. We were thinking that we were one guy away, but we found guys. Guys stepped up. We forget that the interior of that line was looked at as kind of a iffy. We had we had a talent, but we didn't have guys like Fletcher Coxon out there. 2 years removed from Javon Hargrave, and look how we showed up. Those guys, showed out and impressed. And yes, we're losing Milton Williams, but I believe Moro Jumbo, he was ranked the 20th best, had the 20th best pass rushing rate for interior lineman. He's, just a second-year player, and he was nowhere near, obviously the prowess that he showed in his second year coming in. That's the power of coaching. So you bring another guy into the fold. Looking at your draft, and this draft is deep in pass rushers, and like I said, I'm not expecting them to come in and have an immediate impact, but let's just say Josh Sweat flies the coop. We have Nolan Smith on the other side. We have Jalix Hunt. Maybe put him there. We still have Bryce Huff. That's three guys, and say we might bring Brandon Graham be four deep. We still need to add a couple bodies, but it's prohibitive to add in Myles Garrett. That's gonna sacrifice things down the road, because we forget. I keep saying forget, but maybe not forgetting. But Jalen Carter just I think an off season away from him being eligible to sign a contract extension from his rookie contract. Then you got Nolan Smith as well, and Jordan Davis got to make a decision on him, even though we might be willing to let him go, but still you have to replace that that talent. And it may not be a huge drain, because people are like, oh, he doesn't play to his draft status, but he still has some effective plays, and he still hasn't reached his potential. I really want to see if he can tap into that, if he can provide even a smidge, a step up of consistent pass rush, because he had, I think, 2 sacks in the postseason, and when he had maybe 1 in the regular season. So there's so much that he's not tapping into. He's only scratching the surface as far as his abilities go. And I don't believe we need a pre-established dominant guy. And yes, we know what we're getting, but like I said, the sacrifice on the other end to acquire that talent, is it worth it? Because financially speaking, we're at a pivotal stage with guys getting ready to get paid, and us having the guys that we have on salary, that their cap hits are going to continue to increase. You have to be even more judicious about who you shell those contracts out to. And yeah, it'd be a huge move for Garrett, but let's not pretend like he only has a short window. Like, he's maybe got 4 years of high level dominance, and then he's on the close to the his mid-30s. Why not go in on a kid like, I would say, and he's actually kind of his clone, physically speaking, coming out of Texas A&M as well. His alma mater, Myles Garrett, and Shamar Stewart. Myles Garrett is 6'4", 272. Came out running a 4.64. This guy, Shamar Stewart, 6'5", 267. Jumped down from 280, and he maybe put back on some of that weight, and ran a 4.59. I mean, it's eerie how similar the numbers are across the board. The long jump and 40-yard dashes, and the vertical jump. I think he has like maybe 41 or 39. Anyways, it's ridiculous. What he can do. So he had very minimal production in college. I think only 3.5 to 4.5 sacks in 3 years. But Jalix Hunt was a converted safety coming to the Eagles, and look how we coached him up. So I'm not saying that we should gamble on that. Maybe we take a guy who has better had better production in college. But I'd be more willing to go that route than to go the route of tying our anchor to Myles Garrett and all the things that comes with that. It's, huge positives as far as the production, leadership, destructibility, versatility, sliding on the inside. He'd be a nightmare for guards, similar to what Brandon Graham has been able to do, but probably to a higher degree because he's a physical specimen. But there's so much there that, that could prohibit us from being able to make future moves, because Jalen Hurts, his salary cap just continues to increase, and it's by increments, but by the fourth, fifth year, there's going to be some big restructuring that's going on, and then going to be at a pivotal stage of who we should pay, and, guys steadily coming along that, down the track. It's going to get harder and harder to see, especially when we have a bevy of talent. Dang, we got to release this guy, got to let him go. We want to keep this guy, so how do we crunch the numbers? So those decisions are going to be very hard, and I do trust in Ski Mask Howie, but man, it's going to be harder and harder as the years go by to pull off these heists. Even though I know we can't do it, but it's going to take a lot of magic and moving behind the scenes, and I just don't see Myles Garrett being a part of that picture, even though it is a beautiful one. But anyways, we'll get about it here on that note, but I know the truth of the matter is that you're not even watching, though, but it's all good, because I love making these videos, and I love talking about the freaking stinking Philadelphia Eagles. So we're trying to do this officially, but as always, it's fly, Eagles, fly, and let's motherfucking go! Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.